welcome to this show by dynamicCIO. My name is Muqbil Ahmar. I'm the executive editor at dynamicCIO.com and Create Media. First of all, I wish and hope that all of you are safe and secure. These are indeed very, very uncertain times. So friends, today we are going to talk about how, with the changing business landscape and the adoption of emerging technologies, we are seeing an unprecedented growth of data being generated, making it necessary for businesses to deploy solutions that can harness this data and provide actionable insights. There is an increasing need for businesses to transform their IT infrastructure in order to keep up pace with this data growth. Hence, organizations are scouting for servers that are intelligent and fit workloads of every size in their digital transformation journey. Keeping this growth in mind, we have two very senior technology leaders among us today. Manish Gupta is Senior Director and General Manager, Infrastructure Solutions Group, Dell Technologies India, and Sudha KV, Vice President at Dell Technologies and one who heads the R&D in India. Welcome to the show, Manish and Sudha.
Thank you, Muqbil.
Thank you, Muqbil. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you.
Same here, same here. First of all, I really hope that all of you are doing well.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, bringing in Manish first. So, Manish, you see a lot of digital transformation happening around you. So, what is your vision of the real digital transformation journey of enterprises today? Particularly, how important is it in a context like today's, when there are restrictions all over the world?
Muqbil, it's pretty interesting. By the way, even before the pandemic, customers and all the organizations were already on the path of digitally transforming themselves. Now, the journey of digital transformation has actually accelerated due to the pandemic. And the reason for that is very simple. Organizations now need to deploy digital channels of engagement with their customers, with their partners, with their vendors, and with their employees. So in the physical world, just come back, there was a physical means that you could have reached, any organization could have reached out to their customers. In the remote virtual world, that's not possible. So all of the demand of digital transformation is actually emanating from the demands of the end customers and the partners and the vendors and the engagement models that are required with the employees. Everything else, to me, is a matter of backend. How are you transforming your processes? How are you going to go into cloudification? How do you go deploy newer workloads? All of this is still backend. It's really emanating from the fact that all the organizations need to digitally engage their customers. And as that happens, the best way to engage and be able to demonstrate value to the customers is by digitally transforming everything that exists within the organization, right from processes to business models, and which is where I think the new CIO job is so much more exciting and critical to any organization. It's not just about information technology, it's about revenue, it's about profits, it's about everything that one can imagine right up to customer experience. Muqbil, you're on mute.
Yes. Wonderful insights from you, Manish, and great talking points to start the discussion. Sudha, would you like to add on to it?
Yeah, I will speak from the engineering or R&D perspective, right? As you stated, world is transforming, customers are accelerating their digital transformation journey. What happens when customer wants to accelerate this journey? They need our support. And that's where Dell Technologies, driving innovation in Dell Technologies is a very key priority. With the innovations, we try to understand the evolving customer needs and help them transform very easily with lot of agility, right? We have a robust team of R&D engineers working. They understand what are the evolving needs of the customers in this era, amidst this pandemic, what we call new normal. We understand what's happening with the technology trends, industry trends. Sometimes we lead some of the technology trends. We continue to bring cutting edge technology to the customer, staying always a step ahead to make sure that the digital transformation is easy and it is very agile. That's important from an engineer's perspective, from a technology perspective. That's what we are working towards.
Right. So, Manish, we see that, increasingly see businesses, transforming their IT infrastructure, to really uh, move ahead on that digital transformation journey. So, and in the meanwhile, they are still, tagged to, or having to deal with all of that legacy infrastructure that is still there. So what is your suggestion to enterprises? What is your advice? How should they go about modernizing their own IT infra?
Very interesting that you asked me this, Muqbil. And the reality is, customers buy infrastructure because they have to deliver value through applications to their end customer, right? It could be their external customer, it could be internal customer. So, at the heart of everything is the application that are going to run on the infrastructure. Now, as much as you want to modernize all the applications, there's still a bunch of legacy applications that will reside, and there would be the new age applications that would reside. And thus, organizations need to create an infrastructure that is modern, that is agile, that is modular, that can scale out, that can change with time without customers having to rip and replace everything. The criticality is to create infrastructure layers that are modern, that can reside unequivocally with each other. So, I think some of these tenets thus become extremely critical. Now, customers also need to remember, or organizations need to remember, that this is always a journey. You're not stopping anywhere in this journey. Digital transformation is a constant path that anybody will be on. So it's a stepwise journey of continuously evolving technologies and also adopting the new emerging technologies. Come to think of it, today we are not talking about just the age old. We are talking about edge being there. We are talking about technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning. We are talking about next generation connectivity. We are talking about cloudification. All of these need to be adapted so that the infrastructure is able to cater to the demand of the new age applications and the demands from their customers.
Right. So you rightly pointed out, Manish, very good points that, which pointed out to the emergence of new technologies. You spoke about artificial intelligence, cloudification. So all of this is, it is natural that all of this will lead to a veritable explosion of data, and which is also at the core of digital transformation. So with enterprising increasingly going digital, taking the digital transformation, there is this tremendous rise in the volumes of data, which sometimes run into multiple terabytes or petabytes of information. So in such a scenario, against that background, how do you see, what should enterprises do to increase the efficiency and performance of their end user computing?
So, you rightly said. By the way, there are various estimates that in the next 3 to 4 years, the data that would exist across the world would be 175 zettabytes. We are not even talking about, we are talking about some crazy amount of data. The important thing is data by itself means nothing. We've always had data, but we have never been able to analyze the data. So unless the data can be analyzed, it really means nothing for the organization and able to bring value in terms of newer business models and newer customer experience models. So that's the critical part. As you do that, and I'll go back to the point that I made, compute is at the core of the data center. Compute is where all of the data is going to get computed, and the analysis, the analytics on that is going to be run, basis which organizations will get the insights, basis which they can go and create new customer experiences. So what is extremely critical is to have a compute infrastructure that's modern at the core, that is able to bring new workloads in reality. So for example, very recently, we have announced new range of next generation of PowerEdge servers. We have actually launched 17 new platforms. One might wonder, why did we have to launch so many platforms? Because the need of the market has changed today. Our customers require the infrastructure to be workload application centric. So there are workloads, for example, we spoke about machine learning and artificial intelligence, which require accelerators. So we have platforms like XE8545, which are optimized for GPUs, so that the customers can thus run their data on artificial intelligence models to get the right kind of insights and analytics that they require. So, coming back, I think what is very important are three things. First, and all three of these happen to the pillars on which we have actually created this new range of PowerEdge servers. First is that the servers need to be adaptive. They should be adaptive to the workload. Second, you've got to bring in tons of automation. Not everything can be done manually. And third is bring security at the core, which is what we call as proactive resilience.
True. Great, Manish. You have actually, kind of preempted my next question, for which I was going to come to you. It was about that, this new enhanced solution, which you have recently come up with, the Power Edge portfolio. So, how exactly, are you planning to allow customers to bring the computing power closer to the data? If you could elaborate on it a little more.
So I'll give you a fantastic example on this. Two of the products that we are launching out of the 17 are edge products. We are now getting into a world where compute needs to happen closest to the source of data. And the source of data exists at the edge, at where the transactions are happening. So if one is able to capture the data at the edge and be able to analyze a bunch of the data at the edge rather than having to backhaul everything to the data center, the amount of insights and the amount of latency that can be increased is humongous. So that's a classic example of how we are trying to bring data closer to the compute, right? So that is one example. The second example, which is one of those which I gave you, was really around saying artificial intelligence and accelerators. But some of the innovations that we are bringing in, for example, in the new range, is we are bringing in PCIe Gen 4. Now, the amount of bandwidth that's available with PCIe Gen 4 is in multiples of what used to be available as PCIe Gen 3. Now, the moment you have more bandwidth available on the PCIe slots, you can transfer that much more data and thus be able to compute so much more within the given space. So some of these are examples of how we are bringing new age technologies so that customers are able to utilize their data in a far better manner as compared to what they were able to do earlier. So it's not just about speeds and feeds, really, and there was a time when speeds and feeds used to be far important, but speeds and feeds today are far more important because you've just got tons and tons of data, and unless you're able to analyze, it's not going to be worth anything.
Right. Wonderful, Manish. You have spoken about how there has been a great explosion. You are planning to increase the efficiency and performance. Now, bringing in Sudha into the discussions, we have seen Manish speaking about your recent enhanced solutions, the Power Edge portfolio.
Yep.
So, what role has Dell Technologies India's R&D center played in developing these new servers?
So R&D Center is seen as one of the key hubs of innovation for Dell, right? So be it any generation of server, we are major contributors. Predominantly, we work on systems management software that go along with the servers, and we also participate in a big way in the validation of all the servers. For example, Manish and you talked about the explosion of data and how customers are looking at more and more. So for the 15th generation servers that we recently launched, some of the customer simulations involved passing around 7 petabytes of network traffic, right, within our test environment.
Yeah.
Think about it, 1,400 test configuration, 1,600 virtual machines, 43,000 test cases to make sure we just go through everything that the customer puts in there and ensure that the servers meet those requirements. That's a key thing. Of course, Manish mentioned adaptive, resilient, and autonomous infrastructure, that is the servers. The systems management software plays a big part in the autonomous infrastructure. So we make sure that customers do have systems operating independently as a cluster, as a group. We make sure that we have enough horsepower there, enough automation there, that the IT administrators' effort comes down significantly. We also have softwares to monitor power, squelch power when it is exceeding. So power and cooling becomes 56% more efficient. The number of steps that the IT administrator takes with our systems management software comes down very significantly. We have a large amount of, in terms of resilience, secure component validation. It means that not just in design and development, even the supply chain is secure, right? We talked about cloudification, we talked about artificial intelligence. The new thing is everything has to be secure, right? That aspect of security is also being taken care by the systems management software. So with all our innovation, we play a very key part in 15th generation software, and we do a significant amount of systems management, a very significant amount of validation. So design, development, testing, services, everything happens out of India for 15th generation servers.
Actually,
Right.
let me just come
Yes,
in here,
yes.
Muqbil, and
Yeah.
Sudha brought in a fantastic point of view around secure component verification. And you're aware, in the recent past, there have been a lot of outages because of insecure components. Supply chain has become an integral part of everything. Now, as an organization, Dell has always been known for the best supply chain that we bring on table for our customers. But with secure component verification, we are able to give them an end-to-end picture of how the supply chain has secured the components through the end-to-end supply chain. So it's an extremely interesting feature that we are bringing in. Part of proactive resilience, and Sudha, as she rightly said, I think some of the stuff has been really, we are blessed to have the India R&D team next to us, because of which we are able to bring so many innovations on table.
Absolutely. Sudha, extremely, I mean, those mind-boggling numbers are really humbling. And it's great to see and understand, how you are making the lives of enterprises much easier, with each evolution. And of course, we understand that the backbone of uh, you know, uh, any such technological advancement needs a solid grounding in research and development. So how do you see Dell's commitment towards R&D? Would you like to quantify it?
Yeah, across the world, Dell invests about 12.8 billion on R&D in past 3 years. In 3 years, that's a 3-year figure. So that's a lot of investment, and more than investment, right? Come back to India. We were first a cost impact center, then we moved to a business impact. Now we are a strategic impact center. So if I look back and see how we have matured, and I have spent 13 years in Dell, right? How we have matured. Today, I can proudly say that 15th generation, all our innovations go into it. We do have a very, very qualified team of engineers. We have what we call in Dell a tech ladder. So we have people who are distinguished engineers. We have distinguished member technical staff, senior technologists, architects, name them. We have that technical horsepower to do these things. So a quantification of that would be 100 patents per year for the past 3 years. That's the numbers that we are looking, and that's the backbone of every innovation that happens on these next generation servers that we talk about.
Amazing numbers. So coming now to you, Manish, something that you just spoke about a while back, which was about resilience, how you are making servers which are really resilient, secure in all aspects. Would you like to elaborate on
So the thing about security is that you can never be secure enough.
that?
And we've all seen some of the largest organizations, some of the largest brands get impacted uh, because of hackers being hacked into their systems. The classical approach of security was to secure the periphery, the perimeter, and not worry about the core. But with technologies getting as advanced as they are getting, you cannot just live with securing only the periphery or the perimeter. You've got to secure everything at the core as much as you're doing on the periphery, which is where we bring something called secure root of trust as a technology, which is it's an immutable silicon which is at the core of the infrastructure, core of the server, which cannot be hacked into. So you are not just now securing at perimeter, but you're also securing at the core. So that is one of the key examples of how we help our customers secure their infrastructure. But equally, it's never just about protecting, because like I said, you can never be secure enough. So first is to protect, second is to detect, and third is to recover. That's a classic framework of security. So the tools that we have, and some of the ones that Sudha spoke about, are the ones that actually also help detect and recover in the case that there is a security breach. So you've got to be prepared for that as well. So it's the end-to-end lifecycle management when it comes to management through the UME, but equally through the tools that we are providing on security. It covers the protect, detect, and the recover side of it.
Wow, that's great, some great news, and I think that should allay a lot of fears or a lot of security-related apprehensions that a lot of customers or a lot of enterprises today have, particularly when they are trying to go to the cloud, and particularly in sectors like the financial and banking sector, healthcare. They are all very really concerned about the safety of their data, and which is also true, because they are handling very sensitive data. In some instances, it can mean the life and death of somebody. So, of course, what you just explained right now would really go a long way in actually, bringing down those security concerns. So, I think we have had a lovely, lovely discussion today, Manish, and you have been able to throw light on a lot of things, on a lot of technological advancements, particularly with respect to servers, and how you are helping enterprises in their next, in the next step in the digital transformation journey. It has been a pleasure talking to both of you. And Sudha, your numbers are really mind-boggling. I will really need to go back and look at it. Such great R&D is being done, and and people generally tend to lose sight of what has gone behind a certain say a product launch or a certain technological advancement. But today we had it in clear cut terms, what it means to be on the edge of state of the art technology. So thank you to both of you. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I know you have taken out time out of your busy schedules. Thanks a lot, and I hope that the people who are watching this show will have a lot to learn and take away from this discussion. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Sudha.